by me, sure enough, for he'd taken me in after Mama and Daddy died. I wasn't but 4 years old at the time, and the most useless child you ever did see, but he agreed to be my guardian and teach me to be a carpenter. All he'd taught me so far was hammering, which you can't call a skill. I guessed it was a start, though. After all, I was only 12. I had plenty of years to learn sawing and measuring and such. Mostly what I did for my uncle was milk the cow, help the hired hands with the planting and harvesting, and provide Delia with things to cook for supper. Deer, squirrels, rabbits, oysters, crabs, turtles, whatever the old man wanted to eat, I brung home. Without me, he'd most likely have starved to death long ago. Other than that, and a few lessons in reading, writing, and figuring, Uncle Philemon allowed me to do pretty much as I pleased, which was often nothing but playing in the creek or climbing trees or making mischief of one kind or another. As for thrashings, all I had to do was stay out of his way when he'd been drinking. You can't ask for a much better life than that. So I kept on poking the mud in hope of scaring up a turtle. Before long the rain turned to a downpour so heavy I could hardly see. Truth to tell, the wetter I got, the better a thrashing seemed, mainly because it would be given inside in front of a roaring fire. Let Uncle Philemon warm my britches, and the rest of me as well. If he wanted a turtle, he'd just have to drag his sorry old self down here and find one. I took a path that led out of the marsh and into the woods, hoping to find shelter under the trees. If I hadn't been fussing about my uncle, I might have wondered why the crows were making such a ruckus, but I was just too mad to pay them any mind. In fact, I didn't notice a thing out of the ordinary till someone grabbed me from behind, pressed a knife against my throat, and clamped a hand over my mouth. "Don't move, or I'll kill you," a woman hissed in my ear. "Don't make a sound either. Stay right where you are, as quiet as you can be." The hand holding the knife was brown. Since I didn't know of any Negro, slave or free, who'd dare to rob a white boy, I figured she was a runaway and desperate enough to do anything. So I did what she said. Kept my mouth shut, didn't move a finger or a toe, scarcely even breathed. A Negro boy about 7 or 8 years old stepped out from behind the woman, looking every bit as desperate as his mama sounded. In one hand he held a big stick. Little as he was, I had no doubt he'd use it on me, given half a chance. Other than the stick, the first thing I noticed about him were his eyes, which were as blue as mine. His hair was light, too, but tight-curled. His clothes were torn and stained with mud, but even so, they'd once been finer than anything I'd ever owned. As far as I could tell, I'd never seen the child before, which surprised me somewhat. There weren't many slaves in this part of the county, and I knew most every one of them. "You better do as Mama says," the boy told me, just as bold as he could be. "She'd just as soon kill you as look at you." "Perry, for the good Lord's sake, hush!" The woman tightened her grip on me. I felt her belly press against my back as big and hard as a watermelon. "We need your help, Jesse Sherman." It startled me to hear her speak my name, but when I tried to get a look at her face, her knife kept me from turning my head. "If you promise to be still, I'll take my hand off your mouth," she said, "but I'm keeping the knife where it is." I nodded, signifying I'd do as she asked. Right away she uncovered my mouth and grabbed my arm. Like she'd promised, the hand holding the knife stayed where it was, but she allowed me to see her face. To my surprise, I found myself staring into the eyes of Delia's niece, Lydia. I knew for a fact she belonged to the recently deceased Mr. Peregrine Baxter, who lived up the Tread Avon River from Uncle Philemon's place. Not an easy journey, especially if you was afraid to be seen on a public road. They must have gone through woods and swamps.